Good morning, everyone. Well, today we are checking on our pumpkin wine again that we started last week, okay? So like I said, every day we've been in where I keep this with the big stick, and we just move this bag around. So we have it airlocked like we finished last time. Now I hope you can see what's going on in here. Okay, so here's my bag of fruit, right? The pumpkin. And see all those bubbles that are coming up already? Remember how I said my stuff usually starts to ferment even before I pitch the yeast? That's exactly what's happened right now. So we are mooshing this down again, and it is like super thick. So that means this is like really syrupy sweet, which is why that's happening, right? And you can start to even smell it as it's fermenting. It smells like alcohol. So this is good. This is a good thing. So today on our list, what we are going to do is go on to our next step from our recipe book, our pumpkin wine. So we are needing to take that bag out. So all that fruit in there, we got to get it out of there because we just want the juice, right? That's all we're after. So I'm taking this big strainer and I'm going to lift this bag out and hold it for a little while until all the drippiness really slows down. And then we're gonna put it in here. And then I'm basically gonna just be squeezing and kind of kneading that bag until I get most of that juice out of there. I don't want to disintegrate it to the point where its pulp is coming out of the bag. Even though it's a really fine mesh, that can start to happen. And I don't really want to go that far. I just wanna be squeezing the juice out of it. And then when I get there, I am going to post the next step here, but this is kind of a messy job. So again, I'm gonna wash my hands really good because I am a home person, right? This is not a commercial kitchen, people. So we will be washing up really well and we'll be squeezing all of that out there, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna pitch the yeast and I'm gonna tell you what that's all about, okay? So we'll touch base later. All right, we are back. So I have squoze my pumpkin bag. Now when you think about that, that bag was pretty much filled like the whole space in here, and then we covered it with sugar water. Okay, that's where we started. I have squoze it down now to where it is, yeah, I got lucky because this strainer like fits right over my bucket. This much left, okay? So again, I squoze quite a bit of juice out of here, and it really smells good. I was not sure what to expect, and I don't even know how to explain what it smells like. Kind of smells like apricot cookies. I know, it makes no sense, right? Okay, so I'm gonna move this mess out because this is garbage now, okay? This is garbage. All right, I had to rinse up quick. That stuff is like sugary, syrupy sweet. Okay, so we've got all of our juice in here, which really isn't a lot anymore, right? Yeah, because it was mostly pumpkin in there. So we have to like make up the difference with water and sugar now. And what's really important now is that we want a specific gravity number starting high. Okay, and then as that ferments, it's gonna get low, and that's gonna determine our alcohol content. So once we add the yeast here, that process will happen as that it starts eating away at that sugar, okay? So another bucket of mine, it's actually the same company, but yeah, it has a really handy chart on here to help explain it a little better. So generally speaking, when we start a wine, like I say, we want the specific gravity number high. So here, okay? So if we start at 1.095 as a starting number, and then if we finish it at 1.006, and mine usually gets even a little drier than that, that gives us an alcohol content of 11.7. So that's as high as it gets like on this chart. But of course, if you make that number even higher starting and even lower ending, it's going to make it more. Does that make sense? And then you always can back sweeten it. So if it's like too dry and you're like, wow, that's okay. Because you always want to taste it before you bottle. and you would add sugar water back in. Does that make sense? Or stevia, I've even done it that way. Okay, so our specific gravity meter. This I just keep in the bucket. So we can see that it's calibrated like what I was talking about, okay? So we want it, again, to start high, so like at 1.1. So we want this thing like buried. And then as it ferments, it's gonna get closer and closer to the 1.0 or even the 0.999, okay? So that's what we're striving for, okay? So I'm just gonna bob this in here and we're gonna see where we're at. Yeah, it's not even, okay, I don't know if you can see that, but here's where it comes up to. So that's how syrupy thick this is right now. Now, obviously that won't stay there because we need to add it with water, right? And then it's gonna change completely. So that's the thing. So the yeast we're pitching today is specifically wine yeast. Now, I am not a yeast snob per se. I really think it's important you use wine yeast. Don't like grab your bread yeast out of your fridge. But if you're really into this, there are yeasts that are specific for whites, sweet whites, champagnes, reds, dry reds, sweet red. I mean, it's all over the board. I just pick up wine yeast and I go back and forth. So there's a couple different brands that you can even get. And I guess I can't open this without a scissors. So we're gonna open this. I got hot water here. I just microwave it for a little while, but the hottest tap water you have is also fine. And I think it's really important that you dissolve it in some hot water first to get it going. Now, one package of yeast will take care of anywhere from 1 gallon to 6 gallons of wine. So that's sweet, right? Like when we were talking about the recipe, I was saying, okay, we're making 6 gallons, so I have to take all my ingredients times 6. Well, that is true for the rest of the stuff, but it is not true for the yeast. It's only 1 package of yeast, okay? So as you can see, it's already bubbling a little, so we are gonna add that. So there you go, folks. We just pitched our yeast. All right. So now, like I say, what we're gonna do, oh, yeast nutrient too. So this you add and it kind of helps the yeast feed, okay? So this, again, we will multiply out depending on the recipe, and I will add that as well. And then, yeah, we're gonna add water, and then as my specific gravity meter changes and moves as I add water, I may need to even add more sugar water. So that again is gonna depend. I wanna keep that number on that meter really high so I get a good ferment going, okay? Does that make sense? Yeah, that's probably all I'm gonna video on this because the rest, yeah, it's just gonna take a little while. So anyway, that's where we're at with our pumpkin, and I'm really excited because, like, again, it smells way better than I expected. I'm not sure what I expected. If I expected it to smell like the pumpkins smell when they have rotted in the barn in the wheelbarrow, I don't know. But I'm very excited to try this. So yeah, I am not a pumpkin spice girl, although I did see recipes where you could add cinnamon and stuff like that. I chose not to do that. We're just gonna be a purist this time and taste the fruit. So that is where we're at in our process. And yeah, then once it starts feeding, we just have to wait till that number changes enough where we can actually move it and siphon it into a carboy where it sits and sits and sits. And that's our waiting game. But really, the work is all on the front end, and then you just wait. So yeah, fun times. Okay, well, I hope you're learning something. I hope you're enjoying the process and appreciate it when you get a bottle of homemade wine and what goes into that. It's love. What goes into it is love. Okay, have a good afternoon.